everything should work. And if it doesn't, I don't know what to tell you. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. 1, 2. You can? Nice. Awesome. We are in business. Baseball is back in Cape Cod as Orleans, after 2 days off, gets looking to get back into the win column today against Hyannis. Tyler Rocky here at Eldridge Park, joined alongside Matt Doherty here for the pregame show. And Matt, it's been a couple of days. We had the rain out yesterday, and then we had the scheduled day off the day before. So as a Firebirds team, you're coming off your first loss in 11 games. How do you come back and rebound after so much rest?
Well, yeah, it's the longest rest they'll face all season, but, I mean, it must feel good. You know, you're playing a bunch of games for a while, and you have that loss, and, yeah, it might stink, you know, to dwell on that loss, but, you know, it also feels good to relax and take a couple of days and take a little breath from the game, but they'll be ready to go here tonight, and, you know, you just got to put that loss behind you. I know, you know, Kelly Nicholson said after the game, after the loss on Wednesday, you know, the winning streak was gonna end sometime, and you know, you just have to stay even keeled. He said that his team was doing that during the winning streak, and after that loss, you know they're just anxious to get out here tonight and ready to get back on the winning side of things.
Well, you can't win them all, as Kelly mentioned. So let's look back at that winning streak and span 10 games, 12 days. Who impressed you the most during that 10-game stretch?
I mean, if I have to pick, you know,
I'll let you pick a couple of guys.
The pitching staff obviously impressed me. You know, every guy in that rotation threw at least one quality start. You know, Joey Murray, our pitcher tonight, he had a great start in there. Ryan Rollison was terrific in 2 starts. Daniel Lynch as well. So, I mean, the pitching staff as a whole, I think, stood out to me the most during that winning streak. But, you know, they've been doing it all year, and it was the bats that really got it going, especially in the middle of that winning streak when they played this Hyannis team last Saturday, when they pounded out 17 runs. They went on that stretch where, you know, 13 against Katuitt, 17 against Hyannis, and that whole lineup was impressive. Guys like Ethan Paul, Nico Decolati, Jimmy Herron, Steven Scott, those guys, I think, have been carrying the offense, and when you do that for this pitching staff, streaks like that are going to happen for this team.
And now, looking at today's matchup, you mentioned last Saturday a beatdown of Hyannis, 17-3. And you get the same pitcher on the mound today in Michael Bertel, who was shelled for 11 runs in that start. Now that you send out a very similar lineup to that game, what does Orleans need to do in the early going to take advantage of Bertel on the mound?
Well, it's going to be a lot tougher this time around. You know, Bertel is going to make adjustments, and he's a great pitcher. He had the best ERA in the Cape League coming into that start. You know, it's probably been a tough week for him. You know, might be the worst, probably the worst start he'll ever have. He's had in his career up to this point. I mean, 3 runs, 11 earned. You know, that's not going to happen again. So for Bertel, you know he's anxious to get back on this mound. He wants to beat this same lineup. So you're going to get your best from him. And if you're the Firebirds hitters, you know, we saw them struggle in the game against Chatham on Tuesday. So I think Wednesday, excuse me. I think it's about those timely hits and making him work. You know, seeing pitches, going deep into counts, putting good swings on it, and you got to have, you know, that balance that they've been having 1 through 9 in the lineup. And yeah, I expect Bertel to bounce back, and I think it's going to be, you know, a much closer, a smaller run total tonight for Orleans.
Well, let's take a look at the other side now. On the mound for Orleans today is Joey Murray. He's been very good all season long, a 1.28 ERA through 14 innings pitched, a 2-1 record, and the one loss, really a tough luck one at that. He went 4 strong, allowed 3 runs, but just 2 of them were earned, to go along with 5 hits and 4 strikeouts. But since then, he has been a lockdown pitcher for this Orleans staff. What can you tell me about Joey Murray?
Well, he pounds the zone like a lot of his fellow rotation starters. He throws strikes. He lets hitters put the ball in play. He really puts the ball down in the zone, mixes a good off speed, and gets a lot of ground ball outs, works quick. His last 2 outings, 5 innings, no runs in both games, and it's been, you know, pretty easy for him in his last 10 innings of work. You mentioned that first start against YD. Like you said, tough luck. A couple balls hitting the outfield here and there. You know, I think he pitched a lot better than his line indicated, but he's a good pitcher. Doesn't throw, you know, overpowering stuff, but, you know, when he keeps it down in that zone, he gets a lot of ground ball outs and quick innings, and he's been good so far. We'll see what he does facing this Hyannis lineup for the first time.
And working quickly has just been a theme for these pitchers. You see Logan Gilbert, Kevin Smith while he was here was another guy who worked very quickly. Let's rewind to that Chatham game where Smith pitched. It was a dominant start. Granted, he allowed the 4 runs in that fourth inning, but outside of that, Kevin Smith was wonderful. It was just the offense in that game that really couldn't get going.
The whole staff was wonderful. Chatham, all their hits came in that inning, and all their runs came in that inning. So outside of that one inning, Orleans threw a no-hitter, and Kevin Smith, it's a tough play for him. He's done after that start. He's done for the summer. Put together, a year and a half here in Orleans last summer, was their best pitcher going into the playoffs, and he was their opening day starter this summer, and took a no-hitter. Threw a no-hitter in 4 innings against Katuitt in his third start, and then last start took a no-hitter into the fourth. So he's a guy, that tall lefty, pounds the zone, overpowering stuff from the left side, and we're gonna miss him in this rotation. Graham Stinson will probably take his spot, but Smith is a guy that they're gonna miss. But on Wednesday, it's a tough way to end his Cape career because he was doing so well, and then you have that one inning, and that's baseball. But Orleans just has to keep throwing the ball the way they're going, and they'll be fine.
All right, we'll have the starting lineups and more coming up on the other side. This is Firebirds Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. baseball returns to Eldridge Park today as Orleans takes on Hyannis, looking to get back in the win column on the heels of their first loss in their last 11 games. As Joey Murray takes the mound for Orleans, let's take a look at the defense behind him. In the outfield, left to right, it's Brandon Riley, Jimmy Herron, and Nico Decolati. First to third across the infield, Lars Nootbaar, Ethan Paul, Jeff Hotby, and Jax Groshans. And behind the plate for Murray is Cesar Salazar out of Arizona, as we take a look now at the Hyannis batting order. Leading off and playing left field is Jake Mangum. He's followed by Reese Hampton, who's in center. Hunter Stovall at second base and batting third. Daniel Robinson in the cleanup spot. And DHing today, Micah Coffey playing third and batting fifth. Ryan Olenek over at first and batting sixth. Robert Newstrom out in right. Chris Proctor, he's going to be behind the plate doing the catching, and behind it all is Ford Proctor rounding out the lineup for the Harbor Hawks. As Joey Murray, the starter on the mound today, he's been very impressive this season. 2-1 to go along with a 1.28 ERA through 14 innings pitched. And his last two starts have both been 5 shutout innings, looking to do the same today against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, who come into today with a record of 8-12-1. Meanwhile, Orleans sits at 14-7, the best record in the entire Cape League, 28 points to their name. They lead both the East as well as the entire league. Here's Jake Mangum, the first batter for the Harbor Hawks. Jax Groshans, the third baseman, in on the grass at third. Rest of the infield is straight up. First pitch to Mangum is fouled off the hands down the third base side, and we're underway here at Eldridge. 0-1 the count on Mangum. Orleans wearing white vests with red script, red numbers, white hats, and red brims, as the next pitch is low and away on Mangum. Harbor Hawks in blue uniforms, orange numbers, orange letters, as well as orange sleeves to go along with blue hats, white pants. As Murray peers in, here's his 1-1. Hit out into shallow left center. Going over is Riley and Herron, and it's the center fielder Herron who makes the catch at the shoestrings for out number 1. A nice play there by Jimmy Herron to set down Mangum as that ball was falling quickly, and we've got one away in the top of the first. That brings up Reese Hampton. He's the center fielder out of North Carolina. It's from the left side against the righty Murray. First pitch from Murray to Hampton is low and away for ball 1. Groshans stays in on the grass over at third base. Here's the 1-0. That one blooped up into shallow right. Going out is the second baseman, Paul, and he's got it for a quick 2 outs for Joey Murray, who's working very well here in this first inning. 2 down, top of the first, no score. That brings up Hunter Stovall, second baseman from Mississippi State. First righty for Murray today. Stovall, not a big guy, 5'8", not the usual height you see out of a 3-hitter. Here's the first pitch to Stovall. That's hit out into deep left field. High in the air, getting under it though with a little bit of room is Riley, and he's got it for out number 3. 1-2-3 for Murray as we go to the bottom of the first. No score at Eldridge Park. You're listening to Firebirds Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. first at Eldridge Park. No score between Orleans and Hyannis. Let's meet the Harbor Hawks fielding alignment left to right across the outfield. It is Jake Mangum. In center, it's Reese Hampton. Right field, Robert Newstrom. And then first to third across the infield, we got Ryan Olenek, Hunter Stovall, Ford Proctor, and Micah Coffey. Behind the plate for the pitcher, Michael Britell, is Chris Proctor. And the aforementioned Britell on the mound for the Harbor Hawks, making his 5th start on the season. He's already faced this Orleans lineup once in a 17-3 loss. Jimmy Herron will lead things off for Orleans. He's followed by Ethan Paul, Nico Decolati, Steven Scott batting cleanup, Brandon Riley, Cesar Salazar, Jax Groshans hitting 7th, Lars Newtbar in the 8th spot, and Jeff Hotby rounding things out at number 9. So the righty Britell greets the righty Herron as he works from the windup, and the first pitch is at the letters on Herron for ball 1. Jimmy was 1 for 3 the last time these two teams met up, as the next pitch in there for a strike on the outer half of the plate, 1-1 the count. Herron also walked and stole a base, came around to score. Next pitch is fouled away overhead and out of play, 1-2. Well, Britell came into that start against Orleans with the lowest ERA in the Cape League amongst starters, as the 1-2. Just a bit outside, a look down to first, and no swing, says the first base umpire John Leeds. 2-2 the count on Herron. Entered that start with a .73 ERA, and since then it has ballooned more than 6 runs as Herron golfs one into left center. Going over is the center fielder Hampton. Coming in is the left fielder Mangum, and it's Mangum who makes the catch for out number 1. That brings up Ethan Paul, but getting back to Britell, he lasted just 3 innings, allowed 11 runs, all of them earned on 11 hits, 3 strikeouts in the loss, and that puts his ERA at 7.04. Paul, the lefty, against the righty Britell, as Britell winds, and the first pitch in there on the outside corner for a strike. In fact, those 17 runs that Orleans scored against Hyannis were the most in a game for any Cape team since 2013, as Paul one-hops into the shortstop Proctor, who throws across the diamond in time, and that's out number 2. So quick 2 outs for Britell, working through this Orleans lineup a little better than he did the first time out. And that brings up the 3-hitter Nico Decolati in the bottom of this first inning. No score. Orleans and Hyannis at Eldridge Park. Decolati's reached in all 11 games he's played. Bats on the right-handed side, the righty out of Loyola Marymount. Here's the first pitch, is a chopper over to the shortstop Proctor. Again, he throws across his body in time, and that is out number 3. So a quick first inning at Eldridge. We've got no score on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Back at Eldridge as we enter the second inning, no score between the Firebirds and the Harbor Hawks. Daniel Robinson, Micah Coffey, and Ryan Olenek due up for Hyannis in the top half of this second frame. Robinson, the lefty from Central Michigan, the designated hitter today against the righty Murray. First pitch, it's a fastball for a strike. As the shift is being put on for the lefty Robinson. Here's the pitch as Robinson squares around a bunt but taps it foul down the third base line. 0-2 the count on Daniel. Third baseman Groshan's playing in about the hole between short and third. Meanwhile, Hotby, the shortstop, on the other side of the second base bag, and Ethan Paul out in shallow right as the next pitch just a bit inside on the lefty Robinson. 1-2 the count. Outfield is straight away. Murray winds. Here's his 1-2. In the dirt for a ball. Count moves even at 2 apiece. Murray was recently named to Baseball America's All-American Second Team. Here's the 2-2. That's low. 3-2 off the breaking ball. That goes along with his honor of being named the MAC Pitcher of the Year. Had a great season at Kent State. Here's the payoff pitch. That's clubbed foul, out of play down the left field line. Murray had a 1.8 ERA at Kent State this season. The 3-2. Ground ball left side. That's going to beat the shift as Groshan's, the third baseman, couldn't get there in time, and a leadoff single for Daniel Robinson. He's aboard with none away, and that brings up Micah Coffey. So the shift, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In that case, Robinson beat the numbers as Coffey, another lefty, digs in. Middle infield shaded up the middle. Groshan still playing in over at third base, a little bit off the line, about 15 feet or so. Now comes in on the grass. Runner goes, throw down to second is in time. Hotby applied the tag, a great throw by Salazar that one-hopped Jeff Hotby at short covering the bag, and they beat Robinson by plenty as he's erased on the base pass. And Coffey, originally with a runner on first and none out, now stands with the bases empty and one away. Pitch was in for a strike as the next delivery is outside off a breaking ball, 1-1 the count. Infield now moves to its normal depth against the lefty Coffey. Here's the pitch, that's up and away. 2-1 the count on Micah, the third baseman from Minnesota. All Big Ten second team this year as the next pitch, a swing and a miss for strike 2. Count shifts to even, 2-2. His teammate Robert Newstrom, also on the Big Ten second team. The 2-2, swing and a miss for strike 3 as Murray gets his first punch out of the game. And we've got 2 down here in the top of the second. No score at Eldridge as Murray doing it himself there. In the first inning, we saw 3 fly ball outs. Now we've seen an assortment with the caught stealing on Robinson as well as the strikeout just there from Micah Coffey. Ryan Olenek, the batter, the first baseman from Ole Miss, stands in on the righty batter's box. The first pitch, a breaking ball that drops in for a strike, 0-1 the count. Coming out of high school, Olenek was the number 13 shortstop in the state of Florida. The next pitch is hit high in the air. Moving into foul territory is the third baseman Groshan. He camps under it and has it for out number 3. Another 1-2-3 inning for Murray. On to the bottom of the second. No score at Eldridge Park. You're listening to Firebirds Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. back at a packed Eldridge Park here on a Saturday night. Orleans and Hyannis scoreless as we enter the bottom of the second inning. No score as 4-5-6 coming up against the righty Michael Britell on for his second inning of work. A little better than his first time out against Orleans where he allowed 3 runs. First pitch is a swing and a miss to Steven Scott, the big lefty who took Britell deep twice back over a week ago out at McKeon Park. And that's a part of this big tear that Steven Scott's on. He's got 3 home runs during this nice little stretch of his that he watches a ball go inside. 10 for 22 over the last 5 games, including 3 home runs. The 1-1. Line drive, that gets through the hole between short and third, and Steven Scott is aboard with a leadoff single here to start the second. So Steven Scott's bat stays scorching hot. Now 11 for 23. And here comes Brandon Riley to the plate. Riley in the loss against Chatham. He was in the 8 hole, which was the lowest he's hit in the order all season long. Now he moves to the 5 spot. He's been the 3 hitter for the bulk of the season, but ever since the arrival of Nico Decolati has seen his spot in the order drop a couple places, to no fault of his own though, as first pitch to him is fouled away. That gets out of play down the left field side and across Route 28. 0-1 the count on Riley. Britell working from the stretch. Third baseman Coffey in on the grass. Middle infield pinched. Britell takes a couple of looks and comes to the plate. Outside for ball 1. 1-1 the count on Riley. Scott the runner at first. Line drive single to lead off the inning. Sun is covering the batter's circle and parts of the outfield, but the majority of the infield in the shade as Riley rips one on the right side. That gets through for a base hit. Holding up at second is Scott. And there is runners on first and second as Cesar Salazar comes to the plate. Back-to-back singles for Orleans as they got something cooking here. In the bottom of the second inning, no score as Cesar Salazar will try to change that. Salazar, the lefty out of Arizona, doing the catching today for Joey Murray. Infield playing a little past even with the bags. Here's the first pitch to Salazar, who drags one down the third base line on a bunt. Coming in to make the play is Coffey. Throw to first is just in time to beat a hustling Cesar Salazar. A successful sacrifice bunt there. It looked like Salazar may have been trying to go for the hit on that one, as he was really hustling and dragged that ball down the third base line and did not show bunt until very late in that sequence. And that puts runners on second and third as Salazar gets the job done for Jax Groshans. Groshans was 1 for 1 in a pinch hit situation against the Harbor Hawks the last time out. Also drew a walk and scored. Bats from the right-handed side. The freshman from Kansas. As Britell peers in. And the pitch. Line drive up the middle. That's going to score at least 1. Holding up at third is Brandon Riley as he stumbles a bit. Going down to second on the throw is Groshans. And he's going to be tagged out easily. Not too happy with himself right there. But he does knock in the first run of the game. It's 1-0 Firebirds here in the bottom of the second. Nice piece of hitting there by Groshans. Did get a little bit ambitious on the base paths, but he stays very hot at the plate. Riley may have had a chance to score on the throw down to second from the catcher Proctor, but he did stumble coming around that third base bag, which holds him 90 feet away as Lars Nootbaar comes to the plate. So 2 away, bottom of the second, 1-0 Firebirds. First pitch to Nootbaar is a ground ball to the third baseman Coffey. He sets his feet and throws across the diamond in time. And that is out number 3, but not before Orleans strikes first. An RBI single from Jax Groshans gives the Birds a 1-0 lead. We'll go to the third, 1-0 Firebirds on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Yeah. Cape Cod Healthcare is the leading provider of healthcare services for residents and visitors of Cape Cod with 2 acute care hospitals and more than 450 physicians. For more information, please visit capecodhealth.org. Cape Cod Healthcare, expert physicians, quality hospitals, superior care.
Back at Eldridge Park, time for the start of the third inning between Orleans and Hyannis. The Birds getting on the board first in the last half inning as they took a 1-0 lead off of Jax Groshans' RBI single. As the Firebirds, they got out to the lead against Hyannis the first time these two teams met up. They're doing so again here at Eldridge. Joey Murray's first pitch to Robert Newstrom hits him right on the foot on a breaking ball as Newstrom will trot down to first as the Hawks have the leadoff man on for the second straight inning. That ball just kind of kept on tailing towards the batter. Newstrom in the lefty box out of the hand of the righty Murray and clipped him on the foot. And that'll put Newstrom on for Chris Proctor, the catcher from Duke. Proctor hits from the left side. Where's number 17? Newstrom over at first. Does have some speed, 10 for 14 swiping bags with the Hawkeyes. Middle infield shaded up the middle as Groshans, the third baseman, comes in. First pitch from Murray is just a bit inside for ball one. Murray comes to his set. Here's his 1-0. Runner goes as that ball is punched out into shallow left. Coming in to make the play is Brandon Riley. His throw over to first is in and out of the mitt of Newt Barr. Almost a double play there. A nice effort by Brandon Riley to fire that ball back into the infield as it just held up for Riley, who made a strong throw over to Newt Barr, but it did bounce and caused a little bit too much trouble for the first baseman. So holding at first is Newstrom, and we've got one away here in the top of the third. That'll bring up Ford Proctor. No relation to Chris, the previous batter. He does also hit from the left-handed side, though, as the first pitch. It's a fastball in there for a strike. Salazar on that one set up a little outside, but had to move his glove back in towards the strike zone to catch that one. 0-1 on Ford Proctor. Newstrom, the runner, on first. As we get a check over, and diving back safely is Newstrom. We've seen Hyannis already try to be aggressive on the base paths in the early going. Daniel Robinson was gunned down back in the second, and Newstrom was running on that last batter as the next ball misses low. 1-1 the count on Proctor. Kind of interesting to see from a Hyannis team to be so aggressive on the base paths. They're tied for 7th in the league at just 21 stolen bases. Here's the 1-1. Lined foul down the first base side as that one hits off the screen. 1-2 the count. Paul, the second baseman, playing at his normal second base spot, not shaded up the middle. Meanwhile, Hotby a couple steps towards that second base bag. Lights are starting to come on here at Eldridge. Here's the 1-2. A check swing, look down to third. And yes, he did, says Jim Fonseca. And that's out number 2 as Murray picks up his second strikeout of the game. So that brings us to the top of the order with Jake Mangum. He flew out to left center his first time up on a sinking line drive that brought Heron and Riley into the gap. Newstrom still the runner at first. First pitch to Mangum. Breaking ball grabs the outside corner for strike 1. 2 down in the third, 1-0 Firebirds. Orleans took the lead off the RBI single from Groshans in the bottom of the second. Next pitch is outside as the runner on first, Newstrom, was faking a steal. 1-1 the count. If Newstrom keeps getting far off that bag, we might see a snap throw from Salazar. Here's the 1-1. That one's hit well out to deep center field. Going back on it is Heron, and he makes the catch on the run right before the warning track for out number 3. As the Harbor Hawks strand one off the hit by pitch. We've played 2.5, 1-0 Firebirds on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. One nothing Firebirds as we go to the bottom of the third inning. It'll be Jeff Hotby to lead things off. Then the top of the order with Jimmy Heron, followed by Ethan Paul. Tyler Rocky with you here at Eldridge Park. Orleans jumped out to that 1-0 advantage in the last inning off of Jax Groshan's RBI single as Hotby watches a ball come in near the shins. 1-0 the count on Jeff. Pertel working quickly, the kick, as he grounds one foul into the Orleans dugout. Nice snag by field manager Kelly Nicholson. Barehanded that with the left hand. Nice play, Skip. 1-1 the count on Hotby as he grounds one over towards the right side. Coming over to make the play is the first baseman Olenek. The flip to first is in time. And that is out number 1, 3-1 on the putout. We'll go to the top of the order here with Jimmy Heron. He flew out to left his first time up. Just had his 6-game hitting streak snapped against Chatham. However, Jimmy has still reached in all 19 games he's played. Had a walk and scored in the 8th inning against the Anglers. First pitch to Heron is hit deep out to center, but going back on it is Hampton, who gets his feet under him and has it for out number 2 as Bertel continues to work quickly through this Orleans lineup, and we've got 2 down in the bottom of the third inning, and here's Ethan Paul. Paul had one of the 2 groundouts to short back in the first. And while Heron's 6-game hitting streak was snapped, Paul is in the middle of a 6-game hitting streak. First pitch to Ethan, a ground ball, that gets down fair down the first base line and tucking into the corner, rounding first and taking a big turn and retreating to the bag as Robert Newstrom did a nice job of cutting that ball off before it could get too far into the outfield. And Ethan Paul extends that hitting streak to 7 with a 2-out single. That ball just got past the mitt of the first baseman, Olenek. But that thick outfield grass will knock down some grounders out there. And here's Nico Decolati, the Birds trying to get some damage done with 2 outs. Paul on first. Bertel looks in. The stretch and the pitch is inside on Decolati. 1-0 on Nico. He had the other ground out to short back in that first inning. Bertel's set. Takes a long pause, now throws over to first. Diving back in time is Paul. Ethan did steal a base on Bertel the last time these two teams met. Wind blowing right to left here at Eldridge as another throw over to first, not in time. Paul getting the uniform dirty here in the early going. 2 away, bottom of the third, 1-0 Firebirds. Big hole on that right side of the infield as Decolati swings and casts one foul over towards the first base side, and that gets out of play. 1-1 on Decolati, and Nico was scorching hot against the Harbor Hawks the last time these two teams played. 4 for 5, including a double to go along with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. Probably his best game as a member of the Firebirds. Here's the 1-1. Paul runs. That ball is laced out into right field, but hanging up just enough for Newstrom as he gloves it for out number 3. Orleans leaves Paul off a single. We go to the 4th. 1-0 Firebirds on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Start of the fourth inning at Eldridge Park, 1-0 Firebirds, and we've got a new pitcher on the mound for Orleans, Chandler Day, coming on, as Joey Murray's day is done after just 3 innings of one-hit ball. No runs to go along with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Did hit a batter, though, as Day's first delivery to Reese Hampton is low for ball 1. And Chandler Day told our sideline reporter, Nat Cardenas, before the game that he was going to go 3 after Murray goes 3. The 1-0. That's up and in on Hampton for ball 2. Day was supposed to make the start yesterday. Murray was supposed to go today, so they're each getting a taste of this Hyannis lineup, as Day will go the next 3, it appears. The 2-0 is low on Hampton, as Day falls behind 3-0 the count. Chandler made the start against the Harbor Hawks the last time these two teams met up, as a 4-pitch walk from Chandler Day to Reese Hampton puts Reese aboard at first. Leadoff man on for the 3rd straight inning for Hyannis. Here's Hunter Stovall, ready from Mississippi State. He flew out to left his first time up. Day works from the stretch. The kick and the pitch is a bit up and in on Stovall for ball 1, 1-0 the count. Day went 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned to go along with 5 strikeouts, and picked up the win in the 17-3 victory over the Harbor Hawks. He sets and the pitch. That one's in there for a strike, as he snaps a streak of 5 straight balls. 1-1 the count. Day this season 1-0 with a 4.05 ERA in 6 2/3 innings of work. Takes a long pause and the 1-1. That's upstairs. 2-1 the count on Stovall. Day has 8 strikeouts over his 6 2/3 innings. Hampton the runner on first. None away, top of the 4th, 1-0 Firebirds. Here's the pitch. Just a bit high on Stovall. The count moves to 3-1 as Day having some trouble finding the zone. 7 of his 8 pitches have missed. Infield shaded up the middle. Here's the 3-1. Popped in the air. Over in foul territory comes the third baseman, Groshans. He goes towards the fence, and he's got it for out number 1. It's the second play we've seen Groshans make in foul territory. It's the second fly out for Stovall. Here comes Daniel Robinson. He's got the lone hit today for Hyannis. He was gunned down on the base paths trying to steal from the arm of Cesar Salazar. Shift is on. Hotby playing almost straight over the bag at short. Groshans in the hole between third and short as the first pitch, a pitch out, misses away. Paul playing at normal depth over at second, and Newtbar holding on the runner Hampton over at first. Righty Day against the lefty Robinson. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. A big cut from Robinson. And the count is 1-1. Hampton, not a ton of speed over at first. Just 4 of 6 trying to steal. Now Paul, the second baseman, will shade a couple steps over towards the first base bag. Runner goes, the pitch, ground ball right side. Paul gets around it, only play is over to first, and he's got it. As the hit and run executed there by Hyannis. Going to second is Hampton, 4-3 on the putout. And with 2 away, here comes Micah Coffey with the runner in scoring position. Coffey struck out back in the second. The lefty from Minnesota. An all Big Ten second team in each of his seasons with the Golden Gophers. 2 away, first pitch. Just a bit inside on Coffey. Stands at 6'1", 200 pounds. Hit .340 this season at Minnesota. Day set. Here's the pitch. In there for a strike. 1-1 the count on Coffey. Micah's brother Jordan plays baseball at Taylor University, so strong baseball lineage in the Coffey family as that ball is in and almost hits him. 2-1 the count, 2 down. Top of the 4th inning, 1-0 Firebirds, but the Harbor Hawks are threatening. A runner on second, that's Reese Hampton. Hotby the shortstop, shaded up the middle. Here's the pitch. A check swing. Did he go? No, says Jim Fonseca. The count moves to 3-1. Still some daylight here at Eldridge Park, but the lights are on. Probably won't take effect until about the 5th or 6th inning, especially given the pace of this game in the early going. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Just a bit inside on Coffey, and that's the second walk issued by Day in the inning. That puts runners on first and second for Ryan Olenek. He fouled out to third. That came in the second as Jeff Hotby comes in to have a word with Chandler Day. That meeting quickly breaks up. And here comes the righty Olenek, the first baseman from Ole Miss. Chandler Day really struggling to find the zone here. Already 2 walks. First pitch to Olenek. Gets away from the catcher Salazar, and advancing station to station are the runners from first and second. And that puts 2 runners in scoring position as that pitch just got away from Salazar. I'd guess that goes down as a passed ball. Did not bounce. The count is 1-0 on Olenek. And that is not the type of error you want to have right now. Here's the 1-0. That's above the head of a ducking Olenek, and out to chat is Cesar Salazar. Walks have not been an issue this year for Day. He's already doubled his total in today's outing. He's only gone 2/3 of an inning, but his season totals have jumped from 2 to 4. Salazar comes back behind the plate. 2-0 the count on Olenek. Runners on second and third with 2 down. Chandler Day trying to work out of a jam. Firebirds holding on to a 1-0 lead. He's set, and the kick is hit out into center, but taking a couple of steps, and now making a sliding effort is Jimmy Herron. Probably made that play a little more difficult than it needed to be, but he gets the out regardless. As the Harbor Hawks strand 2, we've played 3.5, 1-0 Firebirds on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. back in Orleans. 1-0 Firebirds as we move to the bottom of the 4th inning. Steven Scott will lead things off against Michael Bertel, who comes out for his 4th inning of work. Scott, with the lone Orleans run, ripped a single, and then came around to score off of the Jax Groshan's RBI single back in the 2nd. Here's the first pitch to him. That skips away from the catcher Proctor on a ball that was low and inside. 1-0 the count on Scott. Steven has had a lot of success against Bertel. Here's the 1-0. That's inside on Scott. 2-0 the count. 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and the aforementioned single. The 2-0, ground ball up the middle, and that'll get through for a base hit as Steven Scott, his 2nd single of the game, continues to haunt Michael Bertel, and he's aboard at first with a leadoff single. So Steven Scott now with a multi-hit game in 5 of his last 7. Quite the turnaround for him. Not to mention he leads the team in RBIs. That brings up Brandon Riley. He singled back in the 2nd. Third baseman Coffey is in on the grass. Here's the first pitch. Ground ball right side, could be 2. Stovall over to 2nd onto 1st in time. A 4-6-3 double play as that erases Steven Scott, and we've got 2 down here in the bottom of the 4th. Here comes Cesar Salazar now with 2 outs. The Birds have a 1-0 lead. Game number 22 for both of these teams. After today, we'll be at the official halfway mark. First pitch to Salazar is on the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. Salazar had the sacrifice bunt back in the 2nd. Been one of the great players for Orleans in this first half as he fouls one over the third base side as Cesar goes down 0-2. Orleans at 14-7 on the season, pacing the CCBL. Bertel the righty against the lefty Salazar. Here's the 0-2. Swing and a miss for strike 3 as Bertel picks up his first punch out of the game. And that'll do it for us here in the 4th. 1-0 Firebirds on to the 5th on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Fifth inning at Eldridge Park, 1-0 Firebirds. Here comes Robert Newstrom, Chris Proctor, and Ford Proctor against Chandler Day, who's out for his 2nd inning of work, facing batters 7, 8, and 9 in the Harbor Hawks order. Chandler Day holding on to a 1-0 lead for the Firebirds. As we get a shift, the shortstop Hotby shades just over the bag at second. First pitch is fouled over towards the first base side. 0-1 the count on Robert Newstrom, who was hit by a pitch his first time up. That was one of 2 base runners for Joey Murray, whose day was done after 3 innings today. The 0-1. Line drive right at the shortstop. Groshans, he knocks it down. Throw over to first is in time. Nice job there by Jax Groshans to recover as that one short hopped him over at third. He knocked it down, threw across the diamond, gathered himself, and he's got one away here in the top of the 5th. That brings up Chris Proctor. He flew out to left as Brandon Riley almost turned that fly out into a double play as the runner Newstrom was moving on a hit-and-run attempt. Hotby still shaded up towards that second base bag from his shortstop position. Here's the first pitch as Proctor squared around to bunt but pulled back. 1-0 the count. Proctor, the lefty from Duke, against the righty Day from Vanderbilt. Day winds, a big leg kick and the pitch. It's fouled down the first base side. 1-1 the count. 1 down in the 5th, 1-0 Firebirds. Orleans picked up that run back in the 2nd on an RBI single from Groshans. Day bobs back and forth on the mound. Here's his 1-1 in the dirt as that one skips off the chest protector of Salazar. 2-1 the count. Day taking his time on the mound. Here's his 2-1. Just a bit inside on Proctor. Count runs to 3-1. We saw Day struggle a little in the 4th with control. Didn't allow a hit, but did surrender 2 walks. Here's the 3-1. Just a bit outside, maybe a little high too, and that's ball 4. That's the 3rd walk for Chandler Day in this ball game already. So that brings up Ford Proctor, shortstop from Rice. Digs into the left-handed box. Back in 2016, Ford was a freshman All-American. Also was the Conference USA Freshman of the Year. Day working from the stretch. Looks in. The kick and the pitch. Outside corner for a strike as he finally gets back in the zone. 0-1 the count on Proctor. Chris Proctor aboard at first. Ford Proctor, the lefty in the box. Here's the 0-1. Ground ball, left side. Hopey coming up with it, and it's in and out of his mitt. Going around for third is Proctor, and he's going to get in standing up. As Jeff Hotby, we don't see that out of him very often. That is going to be his first error on the season. Could have been 2. It looked like he may have actually kicked that one out of his mitt as he was stumbling towards that second base bag. As it just popped out of the glove. So instead of a potential inning-ending double play, there's runners at the corners. On the top of the order with Jake Mangum. Mangum, a couple of flyouts to center as the first pitch, a ground ball right side, and that gets through for a base hit. Coming in to score is Proctor, and it's an RBI single for Jake Mangum. We've got a tie ball game, 1-1. So Day surrenders the first run of the ball game as we'll get a mound visit from pitching coach Jamie Quinn. Ford Proctor held at second. It wasn't hit too hard over towards the right side. But nonetheless, Jake Mangum getting the job done. He's 1 for 3 today. Reese Hampton, the next batter, as the mound meeting continues. Well, Orleans, coming off its first loss in 11 games after a 4-2 loss at Veterans Field against Chatham, still makes Orleans 9-1 in the last 10. Meanwhile, Hyannis, they're losers of their last contest, 3-1 at the hands of YD. That came on the 5th of July, both of those games. Yesterday, all 5 Cape Cod Baseball League games were rained out. There was torrential storms across the entire Cape, and that washed out the day of baseball. Here's the first pitch to Hampton. He grounds it over the first base side. Taking it himself is Lars Nootbaar, as that ball wasn't hit too hard, and it's a 3 unassisted as Nootbaar was racing over to the bag. Day would have been able to make that play as well, but Nootbaar called him off. There's runners at second and third now for Hunter Stovall. He's 0 for 1 today. Also walked and was stranded at third. First pitch to Stovall. Misses just a bit low as Day continues to struggle around the zone. Infield at normal depth. Stovall, the righty against the righty Day. Chandler working from the stretch in the pitch. That one's in there for a strike. Grabs the outer half of the plate, and it's 1-1. 2 down in the 5th. 1-1 ball game as we've got it tied up here off the RBI single from Jake Mangum, as the next pitch is skied foul, and that ball gets out of play behind the backstop as Cesar Salazar thought about giving it a chase, but saw it was too far, and the count is 1-2 on Stovall. Day trying to get out of this one with minimal damage. Working from the stretch, and the pitch is a slow tapper, and it's foul as Cesar Salazar jumped from behind the plate. He thought he may have caught that one in fair territory, as he was ready to just apply the tag on Stovall. But foul, says the home plate umpire Steve Durance. Interesting note about Durance, he's the only one of the 3 umpires today who did not work the last time these 2 teams played. The next pitch is in the dirt as Salazar lost it for a second, but it was underneath him the entire time. 2-2 the count. As for the other 2 umpires, Jim Fonseca and John Leeds, they were both at McKeon Park to watch Orleans beat Hyannis 17-3. Two and 2 the count on Stovall. Runners on second and third with 2 down. Here's the pitch. Blocked by Salazar. And the count is full. Daniel Robinson stands on deck. Chandler Day hoping to not face him in this 5th inning. Here's the payoff pitch. Ground ball right side. Getting around it is Nootbaar. He'll run to the bag himself, and he's got it for out number 3. The Harbor Hawks do pick up 1 on Jake Mangum's RBI single, but they leave 2, 1-1 as we go to the bottom of the 5th on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Back at Eldridge for the bottom of the 5th inning. Orleans and Hyannis all tied at 1 apiece. Harborhawks picked one up in the top half of this inning off the RBI single from Jake Mangum. And now the Firebirds trying to respond, and it's going to be started by Jax Groshans, who's knocked in the only Orleans run today. 1 for 1 with a single back in the 2nd, but then was out advancing. First pitch to Groshans misses up and in as he has to back out of the way. 1-0 the count on Jax. He extended his hitting streak to half a dozen games as the next pitch, a breaking ball in there for a strike, 1-1. Groshans will be followed by Nootbaar and Hotby, 7, 8, 9 in this Orleans order. Michael Bertel still working for Hyannis. The next pitch is in the dirt for ball 2, 2-1 on Groshans. Bertel doing a little better than his first time out, where he allowed 11 runs against the Firebirds. The 2-1, a big cut from Groshans. That's strike number 2. As Jax will walk around as his elbow guard came off on that swing, and he'll just throw it aside. He's not going to use it for the rest of this at-bat. Jax choking up about a half-inch on the bat. Here's the pitch, a swing and a miss for strike 3. And that's the second strikeout of the day for Bertel. 1 away in the 5th, 1-1 the score at Eldridge Park. Here's Lars Nootbaar. So after going the first 3 2/3 innings without a punch-out, Bertel's last 2 batters have both been fanned. Nootbaar, the lefty, he grounded out to third to end the 2nd inning. First pitch to Lars, outside for ball 1 on a fastball from Bertel. Interesting thing about Nootbaar, he's now gone 6 games without a walk. Bertel winds the 1-0, a swing and a miss from Lars, 1-1 the count. And the reason why that is so intriguing for a guy like Nootbaar is that he was in the CCBL lead by a pretty hefty margin with 14 walks. He's now tied for 3rd. The 1-1. Inside corner strike, 1-2 the count. And Nootbaar, he's actually fallen to number 2 on the Firebirds as Brandon Riley, his teammate, he's tied for 1st with 15 walks. Next pitch misses outside, 2-2. That's what happens when you go 6 games without a base on balls. The fact that he's still 3rd is still pretty impressive. Here's the 2-2. That one's fouled away overhead. Count remains at 2 apiece. Nootbaar does draw a fair number of walks after working from behind. 2-2 the count. Bertel, the righty, against the lefty Nootbaar. The pitch, ground ball left side, backhanded by the shortstop Proctor. Throw across the diamond is not in time. Lars Nootbaar beat that one out. It was going to be a tough play for Proctor, who had to set his feet from that hole between 3rd and short. He made a strong throw, but not in time to beat a hustling Nootbaar, as Orleans now has a base hit in each of the past 4 innings. That brings up Jeff Hotby. He grounded out to 1st his first time up. Nootbaar, the runner on 1st, middle infield shaded up the middle. 1 down in the 5th, 1-1 ball game. Ground ball right side, in through the legs of the second baseman Stovall. Going to 3rd is Nootbaar. Going to be a close play, and he's out. A close play as Nootbaar tried to get around the tag of the 3rd baseman Coffey. So that ball just skipped right through the legs of the 2nd baseman Stovall, who couldn't keep his glove down. It looked like he got a piece of it to at least knock it down, but he makes up for it by nailing the runner Nootbaar, who got ambitious going to 3rd. Safe at 1st, though, is Jeff Hotby off the air. And here's the top of the order with Jimmy Herron and 2 down in the 5th. throw over to first, as diving back safely is Jeff Hotby. Herron 0 for 2 today, a couple of flyouts, one to left and one to center. Next pitch is a line drive. That gets over the head of the shortstop Proctor and into left center field for a base hit. Holding at second is Hotby. And the Birds now with runners on first and second, as Jimmy Herron has reached in all 20 games he's appeared in. Just a soft liner off the bat of Herron, who continues to be the most consistent player in this Orleans lineup. That brings up Ethan Paul. He's 1 for 2 with a single. Also grounded out to short in the first. Trying to push ahead the go-ahead run for Orleans. 1-1 ball game here in the fifth. Hotby getting a nice sized lead over at second, dancing around. First pitch to Paul, taking all the way, grabs the outside corner for a strike. Oh and 1 on Paul. Herron on first, Hotby on second. Lights starting to come into effect here at Eldridge Park. There's the 0-1 outside. 1-1 the count on Paul. This could be it for Bertel. There is some activity out in the Harbor Hawks bullpen. Bertel sets. He looks back at second. Here's the 1-1. That one's cracked foul out of play down the left field line. 1-2 the count on Paul. Orleans also seeing some double barrel action. Cody Deason. He's up with Parker Kelly. A couple of righties out in that right field bullpen for Orleans. 1-2 the count on Paul. Here's the pitch as he just fists one foul. That one dribbles just outside of the batter's circle, and it's 1-2. 2 down in the fifth, 1-1 the score. Orleans with a run in the second, and Hyannis with one in the top of this fifth. Chris Proctor goes out to have a word with the pitcher Bertel. Game 2 of 4 between these two teams. The first one going to the Firebirds, that one at McKeon. The Harbor Hawks getting their first taste of Eldridge. Bertel looks back. Here's the 1-2. Just a bit inside on Paul. Bertel wanted that one, and the count runs to 2-2. Wind starting to pick up at Eldridge. Blowing right to left out there. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That one's cracked foul down the left field line and tails out of play. That one had some home run distance on a line drive from Paul. Just a bit too far to the left. About 30 feet foul. Count remains 2-2. Infield and outfield both straight away. Paul the lefty against the righty Bertel. Bertel looks back and kicks the 2-2. That one is popped foul and out of play down the third base side. As Paul really working a battle here. Orleans really hasn't had to make Bertel work very much. Paul bucking that trend right here. Here's the 2-2. Another foul ball. This one gets back and out of play behind the screen. Paul right on it again, and we'll have another 2-2 pitch. Herron on first, Hotby on second. The 9th pitch of the at-bat. What a battle from Paul. Bertel stares back. Now comes to the plate. The 2-2. That's high above the letters. 3-2 on Paul. Runners will go with the pitch. A single here should score Hotby with good speed on second and his movement on the kick. Bertel sets. Here's the payoff pitch, and he'll look back at second, trying to catch Hotby jumping. Three and two on Paul. The 10th pitch of this at-bat. 2 down in the 5th, 1-1 ball game. Paul trying to give the Firebirds the lead. The 3-2 pitch. Outside, he walked him. What an at-bat by Ethan Paul to load the bases. He worked 10 straight pitches right there, and here's Nico Decolati with birds at every station. As we'll get a mound meeting from Hyannis before Decolati comes to the plate. Nico 0 for 2 today. Ground out and a fly out, but a chance to break this one wide open. You know, we have not seen Nico go yard yet. Did have 4 home runs at Loyola Marymount as the entire infield meets, and that's going to do it today for Bertel. So in the middle of this bottom of the 5th inning, we're going to get a pitching change with the bases loaded and 2 down. We'll tell you who that new pitcher is on the other side. This is Firebirds Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Back at Eldridge for the bottom of the 5th inning. Nick Sandlin, the new man on the mound for the Harbor Hawks, as he relieves Michael Bertel after 4 2/3. Bertel inherits all 3 runners aboard right now as Nico Decolati comes to the plate for Orleans, trying to break this one wide open. Infield all at normal depth. Normal size leads for the runners as Proctor wants to go out and have a chat with the new pitcher, Sandlin. Sandlin, the righty out of Southern Mississippi. He's 0 for 1 with a 2.25 ERA this season. He's appeared in 8 games. That's tied for 3rd on this team. He does lead the way, though, with 16 innings pitched. Sandlin, the righty, against the righty Decolati. The first pitch, sidearm delivery in there for a strike, 0-1. Sandlin's got 19 strikeouts, which also paces this Harbor Hawks team. Here's the 0-1. That one's casted foul down the first base side and out of play. 0-2 on Decolati. Nico 0 for 2. Trying to change that right here. He had 4 hits against the Harbor Hawks the first time he faced them. One of his first games as a member of the Firebirds. Birds at every base, 2 down. 5th inning, 1-1 ball game. Here's the 0-2. Just a bit low on Decolati. 1-2 the count. That's a pitch Nico might want to try to foul off. Orleans has gotten all of their base runners with 2 outs. Trying to scratch one across here. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss for strike 3. As Orleans leaves them loaded here in the 5th. We've played 5. 1-1 ball game here at Eldridge between the Firebirds and Harbor Hawks. You're listening to Firebirds Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Start of the 6th at Eldridge Park. New man on for Orleans is Parker Kelly as Chandler Days duns after 2. He allowed 1 hit, 1 run. It was unearned to go along with 3 walks as Parker Kelly takes over for Orleans. Kelly really has only had 1 bad outing. That came against Wareham in the 11-3 loss where he allowed 5 runs. 4 of them were earned. First batter is Robinson. He squares around a bunt and pops it straight back into the screen as he tries to beat the shift here against this Orleans defense. Grosjean's the third baseman playing in the hole between short and third. Hotby on the right side of the second base bag, and Paul playing a little deeper over at his normal second base position. Next pitch to Robinson, just a bit in from Kelly. Count is 1-1. Ever since that outing against Wareham, though, Parker has gone 3.1 shutout hitless innings. Ground ball left side, that gets just past Jax Groshans, who was playing just a bit off that third base side, and that's the first hit Kelly has allowed since June 23rd. That ball against a normal defense probably would have gone right to the shortstop Hotby, but instead Daniel Robinson beats the shift for the second time. The leadoff man aboard again for Hyannis. Here's Micah Coffey. Another lefty against the righty Kelly. First pitch in there for a strike off a breaking ball. Kelly's struck out 6 batters over his past 3 appearances. Did face Hyannis and struck out the side. He comes to his set. Here's his 0-1. That one is popped foul and out of play across Route 28, and Kelly ahead 0-2. Coffee 0 for 1 today with a walk. Also struck out back in the second against the starter Murray. Both starters in this game will not get a decision as we get a throw over to first. This ball game all tied up at 1 apiece. Bertel lasted 4 2/3. Murray just went 3. Although that was the plan today for Joey. Here's the 0-2. That one's high. 1-2. Kelly's ready. Here comes his 1-2. That one is popped foul and out of play. Behind the screen, it stays 1-2. Robinson, the runner on first, he was caught stealing back in the second. So we'll see if he tries to test Salazar's arm again. Middle infield is pinched. Here's the 1-2. In the dirt, blocked by Salazar as Robinson retreats back to the first base bag. 2-2 the count. Olenek, the man on deck. None down in the 6th. All tied at 1 apiece here at Eldridge. Here's the pitch. Line drive, that gets over the head of the second baseman Paul and into right field. Holding at second is Robinson as a strong relay throw from Decolati comes in from right field, and it's back-to-back singles off of Kelly. There's 2 on and none out for Ryan Olenek. It was just a nice piece of hitting there by Micah Coffey. He fouled off a couple of balls and then ropes one into right field. Hyannis threatening here in the 6th. Runners on first and second. Olenek the batter. He's 0 for 2 today. He fouled out and flew out. There's the first pitch, a bunt that's laid down right in front. Salazar, the catcher, goes out to make the play, throws on to first, and that's the first out of the inning as he gets a show of support from his pitcher, Kelly. That ball almost perfectly placed between the pitcher and catcher that could have led to a bunt single. Instead, it's runners on second and third and the dangerous Robert Newstrom coming to the plate. So Olenek gets the job done. 2 men in scoring position, and that'll draw in the Orleans infield to the grass. Not going to concede this run this late in the ball game. Newstrom, the lefty, against the righty Kelly. First pitch in there for a strike on the outside corner. Orleans also employing the shift. Shortstop Hotby is playing very far up the middle, not quite in line with the bag, but he's certainly pretty close, and Grosjean's the third baseman playing about 20 feet off that line. Here's the 0-1. Just a bit low on a breaking ball. That one Kelly would have liked to have, and it's 1-1 the count. Newstrom leads the team with 3 home runs, including 1 against Orleans the first time these two teams played. Kelly will try to work around him right here. The 1-1. Fastball in there for a strike as he attacked Newstrom on the inside, and the count is 1-2. This would be a big strikeout for Parker. Newstrom 0 for 1 with a hit by pitch, also a ground out to third. Kelly hoping to add a strikeout right here to Newstrom's day as he steps out, realigns. Again, infield in. Lights are on at Eldridge. The 1-2. That ball's golfed in the air out to right. Going back on it is Decolati with his heels on the track. It's deep enough. That should score 1. Advancing to third is Coffee, but it's an RBI sac fly, and it's 2-1 Harbor Hawks here off the deep drive from Robert Newstrom. So credit Newstrom with the RBI. Advancing to third is Coffee. Coming in to score is Robinson. And Orleans trails for the first time in this ball game, 2-1, bottom of the 6th. Hyannis still with a runner on third as Chris Proctor comes to the plate. Kelly trying to limit the damage. Hyannis led off this inning with back-to-back singles, then back-to-back sacrifices. The first pitch in there for a strike to Proctor, 0-1. The first sack was a bunt from Ryan Olenek. The next, an RBI sac fly from Robert Newstrom. And for Newstrom, he extends his team lead in RBIs to 12. Almost had an extension of his home runs to 4 on that one, as this one is knobbed over to the second baseman, Paul. He goes to first in time, and that is out number 3. But Hyannis takes the lead on a sac fly from Robert Newstrom. 2-1 Harbor Hawks. We've played 5.5 here in Orleans on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Back in Orleans for the bottom of the 6th. Hyannis has scored in back-to-back innings to give the Harbor Hawks a 2-1 lead, and they send out a new pitcher. It's Ethan Larison. He's on for his 10th appearance out of the bullpen, 0-1 with a 5.02 ERA in 14 1/3 innings of work, also 9 strikeouts. Larison did appear against Orleans through a flawless inning with 2 strikeouts back in the 17-3 loss for the Harbor Hawks. He'll get Steven Scott, Brandon Riley, and Cesar Salazar as Nick Sandlin came in, slammed the door with the bases loaded to face one batter, got the strikeout, and is now in line for the win. Scott squares around a bunt and pulls back on a strike. 0-1 the count on Scott. He probably wishes Michael Bertel was still out there on the mound. He's 2 for 2 with a pair of singles today. As the next pitch to Scott, a swing and a miss for strike 2, 0-2. Also had 2 home runs against Bertel in the first meeting. We'll see how he does against the relievers of this Harbor Hawks lineup. He's down 0-2 so far. The stretch and the pitch is just a bit high. 1-2 the count. Larison, the righty from Indiana State. 6'2", 205. Scott, the lefty from Vanderbilt. He comes to his stretch, and the pitch, that's at the letters for a ball. 2-2 the count. Scott was the Rookie of the Year in the New England Collegiate Baseball League with the Newport Gulls. Having a great summer with Orleans after a rough start. Leads the team with 3 home runs. The next pitch in there for strike 3. As Scott goes down looking, and that's the first punch out of the day for Larison. Here's Brandon Riley. Riley 1 for 2. He singled in the second, then bounced into a 4-6-3 double play. That came in the 4th. He's now reached in his last 16 starts. He's also tied for the league lead with 15 walks alongside Brewster catcher Mickey Gasper. First pitch to Riley is a grounder over towards the right side. Stovall up with it and guns to first, and that is out number 2. So quick 2 outs here for the reliever Larison, and it's up to Cesar Salazar to keep the inning going. Salazar's 0 for 1 with a strikeout, also a sacrifice bunt. Played a big part in manufacturing the first run for Orleans, whose bats have since gone quiet. 1,634 fans here at Eldridge, most of them still around. First pitch to Salazar is a ground ball, chopper to the second baseman Stovall. He's up with it and throws to first in time. A 1-2-3 inning for Larison. We've played 6, 2-1 Harbor Hawks on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Two to one the score for the Harbor Hawks here as we start the 7th inning, and we've got a new pitcher on for Orleans. It's Cody Deason. Deason, the righty out of Arizona. He relieves Parker Kelly, who is done after just 1 inning. But Kelly now in line for a loss after allowing 2 hits and a run. It was earned. First run he's allowed since the June 23rd game against Wareham. Only the second appearance he's had where he's allowed a run. Did not strike out anyone. In danger of receiving his first loss of the season. But Cody Deason coming in now to try and minimize the rest of this Hyannis lineup. Deason has yet to allow a run this season in 5 appearances. Has allowed 4 hits, but 3 of them came on the first 3 batters he faced against Bourne in his first appearance. The first pitch to the batter, forward Proctor, is up and away for a ball. 1-0 the count. Deason, the California native, fires a ground ball right side. Getting around it is the second baseman Paul, throws to first in time, and it's a quick first out for Cody Deason. Here in the 7th, we've got 1 down. On to the top of the order now with Jake Mangum. Mangum knocked in the first Hyannis run. That came back in the 5th. Harbor Hawks with runs in both the 6th and the 5th inning. Other than that, though, Mangum a couple of flyouts to center. Deason works from the windup. He kicks and the pitch. Nice breaking ball that is a swing and a miss from Mangum. 0-1 the count. Mangum, the lefty from Mississippi State. He was a 30th round pick by the Yankees this season. Jimmy Herron went in the 31st round. Meanwhile, fellow Firebird Riley Thompson in the 26th round. Here's the next pitch to Mangum. That one is fouled away. 0-2 the count. Mangum, as a freshman at Mississippi State, was the SEC batting champ. He hit at a .408 clip. Was the freshman of the year and a member of the All-SEC first team, as well as an All-American second team. Quite the freshman campaign. Here's the 0-2. That one is dribbled foul down the first base side. Count remains 0-2 as Cesar Salazar goes out to have a chat. Well, these two teams after today will get 2 more meetings with each other. The next one on the 16th. That one is at McKeon. And then near the end of July on the 28th, we're back at Eldridge for the 4th and final game. 0-2 the count on Mangum. One down in the 7th, 2-1 Harbor Hawks. Deason winds. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. And a pitch in the dirt. And Deason's got him for his first strikeout of the game and the second out here in the 7th inning. Nice 2-strike pitch there from Deason as that breaking ball in the dirt. And he got Mangum to chase on a pitch he didn't want to. And here's Reese Hampton. Hampton 0 for 2 today. Also walked back in the 4th. Number 2 hitter in this Hyannis lineup. He watches a strike down the middle from Deason. 0-1 the count. Deason winds. Here's his 0-1. Also in there for a strike. 0-2. So after we saw a couple of Orleans pitchers struggle to find the zone, Deason working right at it. Here's the 0-2. That one's high at the eyes of the batter Hampton. 1-2 the count. 2 down in the 7th, 2-1 Harbor Hawks. 1-2 the count on the batter Hampton. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball that just missed a bit high. The entire infield started to make some paces back towards the dugout. They thought that was strike 3. But instead, the count is 2-2. As Deason works quickly, here's the pitch. Fouled straight back into the screen. Count stays at 2-2. Deason already back on the mound with a new baseball. Gets his signs from his Arizona teammate Salazar, and the pitch. Swing and a miss for strike 3. The second punch out for Cody Deason as he works a perfect 1-2-3 seventh. We go to the bottom half of the frame. 2-1 Harbor Hawks. Orleans going to need to get the bats working quickly here as it's starting to get late on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Bottom of the 7th here at Eldridge. 2-1 the score in favor of the Harbor Hawks as Ethan Larison comes out for another inning of work here against the Orleans lineup. He set him down 1-2-3 in the 6th. Jax Groshans trying to become the first batter aboard. He'll be followed by Lars Newtbar and Jeff Hopi as 7, 8, 9 in the order. Groshans 1 for 2 today. A single and a strikeout. He's got the only RBI. The righty Larison always works from the stretch. He kicks and the pitch. Breaking ball, curves into the zone for a strike. 0-1 on Groshans. Jack's a guy who can tie this game up with just one swing of the bat. He's got 2 home runs this season. Here's the 0-1. That one's fouled away. 0-2. Groshans was in the lead for home runs for the majority of the season until Steven Scott came around and has been on a tear, and he's got 3 over his last 7 games. Larison from the stretch. Here's his 0-2. That one's at the eyes of Groshans, 1-2 the count. Jax has a hit in 11 of his last dozen ball games. That includes the single today. Larison looks in. Here's his 1-2. Swing and a miss for strike 3. That's the second strikeout for Larison, the second for Groshans. And he is out number 1 here in the 7th. That brings up Lars Newtbar, the lefty first baseman from USC, that's Southern California. Newtbar with an infield single back in the 5th inning. Also a ground out to third. Placed that ball perfectly in the hole between short and third. Ford Proctor didn't have a play. First pitch to Newtbar, a breaking ball. In there for a strike, 0-1 the count. 2-1 Harbor Hawks here in the 7th. Orleans trying to get the bats going. Hotby on deck and then the top of the order. Here's the next pitch to Newtbar. That one bounces in. 1-1 the count. Now, I mentioned earlier, Newt Barr's gone 6 games now without a walk. Very uncharacteristic for him. The average has certainly raised. Here's the 1-1. That one is fisted foul down the first base side. 1-2 the count. Newt Barr's average dipped below 200. Now he's up to a 228 clip entering today, and that'll raise with his hit back in the 5th. 1-2 the count on Lars, 1 down in the 7th. 2-1 Harbor Hawks. Here's the 1-2. That one is slapped foul down the left field line, and it gets out of play. 1-2 the count. Orleans had their hit streak of 4 straight innings snapped back in the 6th. Newt Barr trying to start a new one right here. Larison sets. Glances in. Here's his 1-2. Low and away for ball 2. A good eye by Newt Barr. Count is 2-2. Wind blowing right to left. Here's the 2-2. Line drive up the middle and holding up just enough for the center fielder Hampton. And that is out number 2 as Newt Barr just hit that one straight ahead to center field, and that's out number 2. Here comes Jeff Hotby. Hotby reached on an air back in the 5th, also grounded out to first. Last game that Hotby played, he was robbed of a double. I'll get to that story in just a second as Larison comes to his set. First pitch to Jeff is fouled off his shins as he goes down, but he's wearing that protective shin guard on his right leg. 0-1 the count. Now, Hotby hit a ball down the first base line against Chatham in the 4-3 win on the 4th of July. It appeared from our angle that it kicked up chalk, and if you look back at the replays, it certainly looks fair. The first base umpire called it fair, but after some confrontation with the Chatham manager, John Schiffner, with the home plate umpire, the call got overturned by the home plate umpire, even though there was probably a mark down that first base line that they could have drawn towards, but they decided not to. 0-1 the count on Hotby. Here's the next pitch. That's inside for a ball, 1-1. 2 down in the 7th, 2-1 Harbor Hawks. Orleans hasn't scored since the 2nd inning. Infield and outfield both straight up. As the wind's starting to pick up here at Eldridge. Larison sets. Here's his 1-1. Ground ball right side to the second baseman Stovall. He comes up with it, throws over to first, and another 1-2-3 inning for Ethan Larison. We've played 7, 2-1 Harbor Hawks here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Back at 104-year-old Eldridge Park, Orleans trails 2-1 to Hyannis, as the Harbor Hawks will have Hunter Stovall, Daniel Robinson, and Micah Coffey come to the plate as Cody Deason makes his way out for his second inning of work. The first pitch, a swing and a miss from Stovall. Eighth inning here, starting to get late. No daylight remains at Eldridge. Next pitch from Deason, that's up and away for a ball, 1-1 the count. Stovall 0 for 3 today. A couple of pop-outs as well as a ground ball over to first. Here's the 1-1. That one is fouled away overhead, 1-2 the count. Deason worked a 1-2-3 seventh with a couple of strikeouts. He's got 3, 4, 5 coming up to the plate this inning. Already had 1-2 on the three-man Stovall. Here's the pitch. That's high, 2-2 the count. Deason the righty against the righty Stovall. Cody works from the windup. Here's his 2-2. Breaking ball that's just a bit high. That one had a lot of bite on it. Count runs full. Deason has pounded the zone all game. Payoff pitch. In there for strike 3. Stovall didn't think so, but he got him looking, and that's the third punch out for Deason, and the first out of this 8th inning. So Deason has now struck out the last 3 batters he's faced. And that brings up Daniel Robinson. Robinson has the go-ahead run that came in the 6th. He's the only Harbor Hawk with multiple hits today. 2 for 3. A couple of singles. First pitch to Robinson. Breaking ball that's just a bit upstairs. 1-0. Orleans not employing as much of a shift after Robinson has beat it with both of his hits. The 1-0 pitch. Broken bat dribbler back to the pitcher Deason. He comes up with it, flips over to first as Deason fields his position well, and we've got 2 down in the 8th. Here's Micah Coffey. Coffey 1 for 2 today, also walked. Singled in the 6th, but was left on 3rd. Also a strikeout victim of Joey Murray, the starter. Both pitchers not in line for a decision today. First pitch is fouled away overhead. 0-1 the count. Michael Bertel went 4 2/3, allowed just 1 run on 2 strikeouts. Meanwhile, Joey Murray, 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, and 2 strikeouts. Wind up and the 0-1, that's low. 1-1 the count. As of now, Parker Kelly, the pitcher of record on the losing end, and Nick Sandlin, the pitcher of record on the positive side, although Sandlin only faced 1 batter. Here's the pitch, line drive, right side, that gets into the outfield for a base hit, a 2-out single for Micah Coffey. And that'll bring up Ryan Olenek with 1 man on and 2 down. For Deason, that's just the 2nd hit he's allowed since he allowed 3 in his first inning of work against Bourne. He's been a lockdown pitcher. Also has 14 strikeouts, including the 3 today. Here's the first pitch to Ryan Olenek. That's outside. 1-0 the count. So Coffey now joins Daniel Robinson in the multi-hit club today, both with a couple of singles. Here's the 1-0. That one's fouled away. Over towards the first base side and out of play. 1-1 the count. Neither team with an extra base hit today. Strictly singles. 2 runs and 5 hits for Hyannis, 1 run and 7 hits for Orleans, as the next one is punched foul, right side out of play, 1-2. Both teams with an error in this one as well. 1-2 the count on Olenek, 2 down, 8th inning. Runner on first, 2-1 Harbor Hawks. Decent from the stretch, the pitch, line drive just over the head of Groshans, the third baseman. That gets into left field for a base hit. Coming over to cut it off is Riley before it can get to the corner. And that's back-to-back singles off the Orleans reliever. And here's Robert Newstrom. That might be the hardest hit ball we've seen all day from Hyannis. Just smoked over the head of Groshans, who made a leaping effort. Came up just a bit shy of it. And this is not the man you want to see at the plate with runners in scoring position. Josh Hyatt, the Orleans closer, warming up out in the right field pen, as Deason's first pitch to Newstrom on the inside corner for a strike. 0-1 the count, 2 down in the 8th, runners on first and second. Hotby, the shortstop, shaded up the middle. Groshans, the third baseman, playing a bit off the line. Righty Deason, lefty Newstrom. Outfield is straight away. Deason sets, looks back, and now he comes to the plate. A big swing and a miss for Newstrom. He tried to make this one a 4-run ball game right there, and it's 0-2. 2-1 Harbor Hawks. Deason ahead of Newstrom, 0-2 with 2 down. Trying to wiggle his way out of a 2-runner jam. Wind has settled down here at Eldridge. Deason sets. Here's the 0-2. Check swing, did he go? No swing, says Jim Fonseca. As Salazar blocked that pitch in the dirt, almost got Newstrom to bite. Instead, it's the first ball of the at-bat, 1-2. Runner at first, Olenek not being held. Coffey being watched on second by the shortstop, Hotby. Here's the 1-2. Broken bat liner to second. That one hops Paul. He gathers, throws over to first in time, and that is out number 3. Deason works out of a 2-runner jam. We've played 7.5 here at Eldridge. 2-1 Harbor Hawks on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. On to the 8th. Orleans down by 1. 2-1 the score in favor of the Harbor Hawks. New man on the mound for Hyannis, it's Christian Tripp, the righty out of the University of New Mexico. A tall righty at that, 6'7", 220, and he's got the top of the Orleans lineup. Here's Jimmy Herron. He squares around a bunt and pulls back at a strike. Third baseman Coffey was playing behind the bag as he charged in. Now he'll move to even. 0-1 the count on Herron. Tripp works from the stretch. The pitch. Ground ball left side just wide of the third base bag. Foul. 0-2 on Jimmy. He's 1 for 3 with a single. A line drive out to left center his last time up. That came in the 5th. Orleans has been set down with its last 7 batters. Herron trying to change that right here. Big hole up the middle. Here's the 0-2. That's low. 1-2 the count. Herron will be followed by Ethan Paul, then Nico Decolati, and if anyone can get aboard, Steven Scott will come to the plate. Here's the 1-2 to Herron. Grounded foul down the third base side. Might have gotten a piece of Herron's foot. Count remains 1-2. Wind picking back up at Eldridge, right to left. As the flag out in center field continues to blow. Here's the 1-2 to Herron, grounded off his foot, and that one trickles into play, but it's a foul ball. 1-2 the count remains on Jimmy. So he just walks that one out, flexes out that left ankle. Count remains 1-2 on Herron. Trying to get the leadoff man for Orleans. Firebirds have just had the first guy to the plate on 2 times in this game. Both have been Steven Scott. Here's the 1-2. That one poked foul down the first base side as Herron's staying alive with 2 strikes. Working a great at-bat here. Speaking of great at-bats, the man on deck, Ethan Paul, his last time to the plate, worked a 10-pitch AB. Here's the 1-2 to Herron. Popped foul. That gets out of play on the first base side. Jimmy continues to battle, making Christian Tripp work in his first batter. Tripp this season 1-0 with a 1.46 ERA in 9 appearances. That's come over the span of 12 1/3 innings pitched. Here's the 1-2 to Herron. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Got him reaching outside. And that's out number 1 in the first strikeout for Tripp. Well, Tripp certainly earned that strikeout after Herron fouled off a number of pitches in that at-bat. We'll have to earn it out here against Ethan Paul, who's 1 for 2 and has a hit in 12 of his last 14 starts, including a 7-game hitting streak. Paul the lefty against the righty Tripp. Here's the first pitch. Ground ball up the middle. Getting around it is the second baseman Stovall. Throws across his body in time. And that is out number 2. So much quicker on the 1-pitch at bat there to Paul than the one he had with the first batter, Herron. And there's 2 down. And Nico Decolati is tasked with extending this 8th inning. Nico 0 for 3 today, has not reached base. He's done so in all 11 games he's played so far, trying to extend that streak right here. The outfield will take a couple of steps back against Nico. First pitch, in there for a strike, 0-1. They don't want to allow any doubles against this Orleans batting lineup, especially with Steven Scott on deck. Don't want guys in scoring position for him. Scott is 2 for 3 today, but he is 1 batter away. Here's the 0-1 to Decolati. Low for a ball, 1-1. Nico was 4 for 5 the first time these 2 teams played. Trying to scratch across his first hit today. The 1-1. Grounded foul as it trickles towards the third base dugout, 1-2. Nico was 1 for 4 against Chatham back on the 5th. That's the last time Orleans has played. They had the off day on Thursday and then a rain out across the CCBL yesterday against YD. The pitch, line drive right side, that gets past a diving Stovall and into right field, and Nico Decolati with a 2-out single as Orleans tries to work some magic here in the 8th, and for Decolati, he's now reached in all 12 games he's appeared in. And that brings up the dangerous Stephen Scott. A home run against Chatham his last time out. Also 2 home runs against Hyannis the first time these teams played. What a time it would be for a home run right here. Lefty Scott, righty Tripp, Decolati the runner on first, 2-1 Harborhawks. First pitch to Steven is in. 1-0 the count. Scott 2 for 3 today, has the only Orleans run. Both of those singles. Look over to first, diving back safely as Tripp just lobbed that one over to keep Decolati honest. Scott leads the team with 3 home runs. Also has a team leading 10 RBIs as the next pitch is in there for a strike. 1-1 the count on Scott. Middle infield shaded up. And we'll get another look over to first. This time Decolati gets back in standing up. 1-1 the count, 2 down in the 8th. Tying run on first. Go ahead, run at the plate. Tripp set, here's his 1-1. That one is popped foul overhead and out of play across Route 28. 1-2 the count. Again, Route 28 running parallel with the third base line. Scott in a 1-2 hole. He did hit his home run against Chatham with 2 strikes. Right now, just trying to get aboard. Tripp's 1-2. A bit inside on Scott. Count is even at 2-2. Still a good number of fans here at Eldridge Park cheering on the Firebirds. Beautiful night. It's been in the 70s throughout. 2-2 the count on Scott. Runner goes and the pitch is fouled away overhead. And Decolati will be forced back to first. Brandon Riley on deck. Two dead in the 8th. Scott trying to keep this 8th frame alive. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. A good breaking ball that was low and away. Got Scott to chase. And that is out number 3, the second strikeout for Christian Tripp. We're through 8, 2-1 Harborhawks as we go to the 9th. You're listening to Firebirds Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. back in Orleans. Hyannis holding on to a 2-1 lead as we start the 9th inning. The Harbor Hawks coming to the plate with Chris Proctor, Ford Proctor, then the top of the order with Jake Mangum. They'll face the new Firebirds pitcher Josh Hyatt, the righty out of UNC. Hyatt making his 8th appearance, leads the team with 5 saves, although today not a save situation, just trying to keep this a 1-run ball game for the Orleans offense in the bottom half of the inning. Works from the windup, and the first pitch is just outside, 1-0 the count. Proctor today 0 for 2. He did walk and score the go-ahead run. Next pitch is golfed out of play down the left field line. Hyannis with runs in the 5th and the 6th. Orleans with one that came back in the 2nd. Here's the 1-1. That one poked out into shallow left center, but coming out is the shortstop Hotby, and he's got it. And that is out number 1. Here comes Ford Proctor. Proctor's 0 for 3 today. Reached on an error in the 5th. Other than that, a strikeout and a ground out over to second. The lefty from Rice plays shortstop on the defensive end as Hyatt kicks and the pitch. Rolls one over to the second baseman, Paul. Scoops it up, throw to first. A bit high, but getting there is Newtbar. And that is out number 2. Hyatt working quickly and efficiently here in the 9th. Turns on to the top of the order with Jake Mangum. Mangum singled to knock in the first run in the 5th. Also a pair of flyouts and a strikeout. Lefty Mangum against the righty Hyatt. Here's the first pitch. He drags one down for a bunt right back to the pitcher Hyatt, who dives to his feet. The flip to first in time. Oh my God, what a play by Josh Hyatt as he stumbled and flipped in one motion. A flawless move by the closer. A flawless inning for Hyatt. We've played 8.5. Orleans trying to complete the comeback here. They need 1 in the bottom of the 9th. You're listening to Firebirds Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. ninth here at Eldridge Park, 2-1. The Harbor Hawks lead over the Firebirds. Last licks for Orleans. They'll send Brandon Riley, Cesar Salazar, and Jax Groshans to the plate. Against the new man on the mound for the Harbor Hawks, it's Ryan Weiss. Comes into today with a 1-0 record, 1.69 ERA in 6 games. He started 3 of them, 16 innings of work. The righty from Wright State on to pick up his first save of the season. The usual closer for the Harbor Hawks is Christian Tripp, who came on for the 8th and worked 1 inning of 1-hit ball to go along with 2 strikeouts. A scoreless frame for Tripp. And here's Riley to try to start the rally for Orleans. The first pitch to him in there for a strike on the outside corner, 0-1. Riley 1 for 3 today. As Weiss winds in the pitch. Line drive. One hops the second baseman Stovall, and he's got it over to first in time. And that is out number 1. A very hard hit ball there for Riley, who's now grounded out over to the second baseman Stovall 3 times today. That brings up Cesar Salazar, 1 down. 2-1 the score. Harbor Hawks on top of the Firebirds. Orleans trying to avoid blowing their first lead after leading after 4 innings. Salazar, the lefty from Arizona. Weiss winds in the pitch, a swing and a miss. Big healthy cut there from Cesar. Might have tipped into the mitt of the catcher Proctor, and it's 0-1. Orleans has out-hit Hyannis 8-6 today, but it's the run column that matters. Next pitch is away. 1-1 the count on Salazar. Cesar 0 for 2 today. Also has a sacrifice bunt. Here's the 1-1. A bit low, says home plate umpire Steve Durance, and it's 2-1. Groshans on deck. Nootbaar in the hole. Weiss winds in the pitch. That's outside, also a little high, and it's 3-1 on Salazar. Every base runner matters at this point in the game. 1 down, bottom of the 9th. 2-1 Harbor Hawks. Here's the 3-1. Popped foul, and that gets out of play down the third base side. Count is full on Salazar. Cesar's reached in 8 of his last 10 starts. Trying to make it 9 for 11. The 3-2. That one's fouled away overhead. Nice battle here from Salazar. Wind blowing out to straightaway center. But you're going to need to get all of 1 to hit it out here. 4:34 to the point. The 3-2. That one's skied foul. Left field side, count remains full as Salazar continues to battle. Orleans bench watching on. Here's the 3-2. That one clubbed out into deep center field. Going back is Hampton, and he's got his toes on the track and gathers it for the second out of the inning. Cesar gave that one a ride, but couldn't quite get enough out to left center field. Hit that one about 360 feet, but it's deep in those alleys. So now Jax Groshans needs to prolong the 9th. The righty is 1 for 3 today, with an RBI single in the 2nd and a pair of strikeouts. Trying to do all he can to bring Lars Nootbaar to the plate. He's on deck. 2 down in the 9th. The first pitch to Groshans is taken for a ball off a breaking pitch. That one just above the belt of Jax. 1-0 the count as Groshans digs in and asks for time right away. Adjusts his helmet. Now he's ready. Here's the 1-0. That's low for a ball, 2-0. Groshans held off on a fastball. 2-1 Harbor Hawks, bottom of the 9th, 2 down. Orleans trying to mount a comeback. The 2-0, grounded foul as Jax pulled that one down the third base line. 2-1 the count.
Come on, Jax.
Groshans can tie this one with one swing of the bat. He does have 2 home runs this year. Here's the pitch. That's just a bit high. 3-1 the count. A good hitter's count for Groshans. Just trying to get aboard here. The 3-1 is fouled straight back into the screen. Groshans right on that one. Count is full. Orleans down to their last strike. Infield and outfield both straight up for Groshans, who adjusts his batting gloves, takes his time, readjusts his elbow protector on his left arm, now gets in. Weiss winds. Here's his payoff pitch. Fouled back. Groshans barely got a piece of that one to stay alive. And Proctor will go out to toss the ball back. Has a quick word with his pitcher, Weiss. Now retreats to behind the plate. Groshans, the freshman from Kansas, trying to keep this one alive. Full count, bottom of the 9th. 2-1 Harbor Hawks lead. Here's the 3-2. Swing and a miss for strike 3. As Weiss gets Groshans to go down on K's, and that's the ball game. 2-1 the final. The Harbor Hawks take this one. And Orleans, with back-to-back losses for the first time since the 2 opening games of this CCBL season. The Firebirds drop to 14-8 on the season, are stuck at 28 points. Meanwhile, Hyannis moves to 9-12-1 and picks up points 18 and 19. Again, the final here from Eldridge, 2-1. We'll be back with the totals after this. You're listening to Firebirds Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. at Eldridge Park. Time to wrap things up here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. 2-1 the final. The Harbor Hawks take this one. Orleans drops to 14-8 on the season. Meanwhile, Hyannis rises to 9-12-1, picks up their 18th and 19th points on the season. Orleans, looking at the line total for them, 1 run on 8 hits, 1 error. They leave 6. Meanwhile, Hyannis, they go 2 runs on 6 hits and 1 error. As Hyannis, the winning pitcher for them, Nick Sandlin. Meanwhile, Parker Kelly takes the loss for Orleans, as we're going to be joined right now by Joey Murray, today's starting pitcher. And Joey, today you went 3 strong, just 1 hit today. What was working for you so well?
You know, I was just trying to fill up the zone with my fastball the best I could. Off speed was working a little bit better than past couple of times I threw, and I was just relying on the defense to make me some plays today.
And I know that the off-speed pitch is something that you've really been working on since coming to the Cape. How have you seen that pitch progress from start 1 to today?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's definitely come a long way. My curveball used to be kind of my main go-to pitch for off-speed, and now I think I'm throwing a lot more sliders than I am curveballs. So it's definitely come a long way to the point where I feel a lot more confident throwing in the zone than compared to my curveball.
And now your last 3 starts have been absolutely phenomenal. Just looking at some of the numbers here, you've gone 13 scoreless. What's been flipping for you ever since that first start against YD where you let up 3 runs?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I just found my comfort zone. I just go out there and trust my stuff, and I don't try to do too much. Just try to be who I am, and just throw the ball in there and just let my fielders make some plays, and hopefully I can pick up the slack a little bit if they make a couple errors. So just they got my back, and I try to have their back as best I can.
And you only go 3 innings today. Chandler Day comes in, and that was the plan going into today. How much longer do you think you could have stretched it out there on the mound?
I mean, the way I was going, I really would have liked to go the 5 that we normally go, but I mean, I think what Skip was saying, it wants me to kind of take it easy every once in a while and not kind of go the full 5, but yeah, I was feeling good. I felt like I could have easily gone 5 or 6.
And now today, you lost your 2nd game in a row. That's kind of an unfamiliar territory for you guys as of late. Well, what do you think is the key to getting back into the win column?
I mean, you know, that's just baseball. I mean, we've lost 2 really close games, and pitch by pitch, it could have gone a lot different. So, I mean, that's just the way this game goes. Is some days you got it, some days you don't, and you just got to come back the next day and just fight till the end.
All right, that's Joey Murray, today's starting pitcher. Again, 3 shutout innings of 1-hit ball. A great start for you. Congrats on another one, and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, that's going to wrap it up here for the post-game show. I'm Tyler Aki. Again, the unhappy final from Eldridge, 2-1. The Harbor Hawks take this one, as the Firebirds will be back at it tomorrow in Chatham at Veterans Field, 7 o'clock the start time. We'll be on the air at 6:50 to get things going. So the Firebirds looking to get back in the win column and avenge against the team that snapped their 10-game losing streak, but that'll have to wait for tomorrow. Again, the final from Eldridge, 2-1. The Harbor Hawks take this one over the Firebirds. Thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your night.